Hello, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Umar, and I am speaking to you from Plutus IAS headquarters in Delhi. So I'm so glad आप लोगों ने जो last video था about artificial intelligence and its role in public administration, उसको इतना सराहा. You people understood its importance. That makes a teacher happy. कि आप लोगों ने उस चीज़ को उस तरीके से समझा. Expect questions from artificial intelligence, not only in your public administration, but I think there are huge chances because AI is in governance is being talked about a lot. So expect questions on that front in your exams. Now, since you so much like the idea, the video, and many of the students have requested कि इस पे थोड़ा और elaborative approach हो जाए. That is why this video today, in continuation with the video that we released day before yesterday. Now, जो ऑपरेशनल गाइडलाइंस गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने पब्लिश की थी विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस, इंडियाज एआई गवर्नेंस गाइडलाइंस, India's AI governance guidelines. These guidelines I have gone through myself, and I have prepared these lucid, concise slides for you. I'll be explaining these to you. Uh, be a little bit teeny tiny attentive. Now, India's AI guidelines, safe, trusted, inclusive AI for Viksit Bharat. Now, Viksit Bharat vision that we have promulgated 2047 के लिए, it is important this document is released उसको मद्देनजर रखते हुए. Now, 2047 we expect that वो जो informal sector भी है, which forms a greater chunk of our population, वो इनफॉर्मल सेक्टर का जो पार्टिसिपेशन है उनके लिए एआई जो है वो यूजफुल साबित हो. दैट इज one thing that has been kept in mind while AI has been addressed by the government of India. Now, artificial intelligence we know is shaping the world, be it in terms of healthcare, be it in terms of governance, be it in terms of science and technology. It also finds its user case in national security. So artificial intelligence जो अभी emerge हो रहा है, that is emerging as a double-edged sword. वही वाला artificial intelligence जो algorithms device कर सकता है कैंसर को डिटेक्ट करने के लिए, वही artificial intelligence यूज हो सकता है डीप फेक्स जनरेट करने के लिए. और ये डीप फेक्स की टेक्नोलॉजी जो है, we have already seen its repercussions happening in the United States elections, in the last elections that we saw. So it became a big concern there. So ये एक डबल एज्ड स्वॉर्ड बन के सामने आ रही है. To harness this technology responsibly and to fuel India's Viksit Bharat 2047, Government of India released India AI Governance Guidelines. जो ये गाइडलाइंस का जो ब्रीफ हमने प्रिपेयर किया है आप लोगों के लिए, ये वो गाइडलाइंस है जो गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने रिलीज की. सो व्हाई एआई गवर्नेंस, क्यों एआई गवर्नेंस क्यों जरूरी है, व्हाई डू वी नीड इट? बिकॉज एआई केपेबल है हाईली जनरेटिव टास्क्स उठाने के लिए, रीजनिंग ओरिएंटेड टास्क्स उठाने के लिए, ऑथेंटिक और सेल्फ इंप्रूविंग है. तो ये चीजें एट्रीब्यूट्स हैं आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस के, इसीलिए इट फाइंड्स इट्स यूज केस इन गवर्नेंस. ये एक्स्ट्राऑर्डिनरी अपॉर्चुनिटीज हमें देती है if we deploy it correctly, but it also poses significant risks. Now, risks, for example, deepfakes and misinformation that can spread at an unprecedented pace. जिससे इलेक्शंस मैनिपुलेट हो सकते हैं, जिससे नेशनल सिक्योरिटी का खतरा आ सकता है. किसी ने कोई बात बोली नहीं बट अ डीप फेक इज जनरेटेड उसको करने के लिए, सो उसको बोलने के लिए. दीज कैन emerge as challenges to national security. Algorithm bases Cyber threats and data breaches, they can be made possible. There is a chance of that happening. Safety risks in critical infrastructure, the critical infrastructure that we have in place, there's a safety risk to that infrastructure, digital infrastructure. Loss of human control, because AI works on automation, so there is significant loss. There can happen a significant loss of human control. It has security implications also. Now, India recognizes AI as a force multiplier. Now, that is important. It does not do away with it right away. It doesn't just discard it. It just doesn't just ignore it. The government of India treats it as a force multiplier. The already forces that we have in place to bring in the welfare of the nation, of the nation state, उसमें we consider AI as a force multiplier. ये हमें augment करेगा अपने goals को reach करने के लिए. These guidelines ensure AI for all, which I talked to you about. AI for all, mostly about the addressing the the use to the extending its use to the informal sector. It talks about this document released by the government, which is called AI governance guidelines, जो इंडिया में AI को related guidelines government दे रहा है, वो 7 sutras पे based है. These are the 7 principles based on which India will pursue its AI mission. So trust is the foundation. AI reliable होना चाहिए, AI safe होना चाहिए, trustworthy होना चाहिए. This is the first principle that India follows when it comes to implementation of AI. It should be people first. So the goal of artificial intelligence in India is manifested, is documented through this principle, this sutra of people first approach. कि AI should empower humans, it should not replace them. Human oversight in this case remains very critical. It talks about innovation over restraint. Regulations should not choke innovation. Now, this is pretty important. Why? Because whenever a new technology or whenever a new adventure in science and technology would happen, uh, we would not implement it right away. Just like we saw in the case of computers. When computers were introduced in India, people were skeptical about it. इसके accounting capabilities को लेके people were skeptical. That is why the government had to introduce them as ledger printing machines. So, because we were skeptical about the technology at that point of time, so it was introduced as such, and then we saw the revolution that took place, how it helped the workforce in gaining the momentum. So, it's one of the sutras right now that innovation over restraint. We are not going to restrain the technology, we are going to innovate in it. We will not choke innovation. Fairness and equity, accountability, clear responsibility across developers. So we will have to fix responsibility. Accountability is one of the sutras, one of the principles that is followed. This tells us how we intend it to be a people-centric paradigm. Understandable by design. AI must be explainable with meaningful discourses. Safety, resilience, and sustainability. AI should be robust, secure, and environmentally sustainable. ये जो sutras है, they guide entire AI's ecosystem in India. This document, this AI guideline document from the government, also talks about 6 pillars of India's AI governance framework. कौन से वो 6 स्तंभ होंगे जिस पे इंडिया का AI governance framework जो है वो establish होगा. Number 1, infrastructure. Every new venture requires infrastructure building. So India is massively scaling its access to computers, data sets, models, and digital public infrastructure 38,000 plus GPUs for startups and researchers have been acquired. They are being distributed. AI course with 1,500 data sets and 217 AI models is being developed. Support for sovereign Indian foundation models is being extended. Integration of AI with DPIs like Aadhaar, UPI, digital locker, all these are being put in place. The goal is democratizing AI. The goal here is that AI should be democratized for researchers, for students, for micro, small, and medium enterprises, and for innovators. The second pillar that it talks about is capacity building. Capacity building is awareness and literacy about artificial intelligence. And it has to be done across, because it talks about AI for all. So it has to be done across length and breadth of the country to every stakeholder in the country, some of which are citizens, MSMEs, civil servants, regulators, and law enforcement agencies. So programs like India AI Future Skills, they are being developed to train PhDs, graduates, and professionals across the country, including tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Now, policy and regulation. This is the third pillar that this document talks about. India's regulatory stance is balanced and agile. It's not over restrictive. We are not restricting AI or its innovation in any sense, but we're just maintaining a vigil. So existing laws that we have in our country, they cover many AI harms, like the IT Act, DPDP Act, the criminal laws that we have in place. These laws can prove to be instrumental in offering policy and regulation when it comes to artificial intelligence. Some of the areas do require updating, and the document talks about it. It talks about copyright and text and data mining as one area. It talks about liability of AI developers, content authentication and DeepSeek, and it talks about cybersecurity, where laws need to be made to regulate and design the policy. Pillar 4 that the document talks about is risk mitigation. Now, these risks that the document has identified, they include malicious use of artificial intelligence, जो deep fakes की शक्ल में हमें नजर आता है, या हमें साइबर अटैक्स में नजर आता है. ये बायस्ड ना हो, ये बायस्ड हो सकता है, वो एक बहुत बड़ा रिस्क है, which we talked about yesterday, because it feeds on huge amount of data. और वो डेटा ही अगर जो इसको फीड हुआ है AI को, अगर वही बायस्ड है, तो ऑटोमेटिकली द मॉडल the AI is building upon, the outcomes are going to be very, very biased and discriminatory in nature. So that is another risk that we will be facing. Transparency failures, that is one, because in public domain, actions and decisions need to be transparent. So there's a huge probability of loss of human control, क्योंकि अभी तक the tasks or the decisions that we are undertaking, they are being undertaken from a human point of view, by a human being, by an official, by a bureaucrat who is a human being. But now if we leave it to AI, then there is a chance of loss of human control over decisions. National security becomes a big issue in that aspect. So accountability. This document talks about accountability furthermore. Accountability mechanisms when it comes to artificial intelligence, they would include grievance redressal mechanisms, क्योंकि अब human control negligent होगा, so grievance redressal mechanisms will have to be built in. Transparency reports, they will have to be generated. so that they are tabled in any forums like the parliament. Third party audits, it talks about third party audits as a viable option for accountability. Clear responsibility across deployers, developers, deployers and data controllers. So इन पे fix responsibility करनी होगी. uh, One more pillar, the sixth pillar it talks about is the institutions. Institutions which have to be built to oversee this AI framework deployment in India. तो वो pillars जो हैं, it talks about AI governance group AIGG. This is an innovative model, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस गवर्नेंस ग्रुप. ये एक परमानेंट हाई लेवल इंटर मिनिस्टीरियल बॉडी है, होगी, जो कोऑर्डिनेट करेगी नेशनल आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस पॉलिसी को. इट टॉक्स अबाउट टेक्नोलॉजी एंड पॉलिसी एक्सपर्ट कमेटी, TPEC, टेक्नोलॉजी एंड एक्सपर्ट एंड पॉलिसी एक्सपर्ट कमेटी. ये एक्सपर्ट्स होंगे इन machine learning, law, governance, national security, or public policy. So here we can expect people from both bureaucratic side, the ministerial side, as well as the technocrats in this expert committee. So AI Safety Institute, AI Safety Institute. This would be India's technical backbone for safe testing, जिसको हम AI के पार्लांस में सैंड बॉक्सिंग भी बोलते हैं. सैंड बॉक्स एक आइसोलेटेड एनवायरनमेंट होता है where new technology and softwares and codes are tested before they are actually deployed. So it talks about creation of that. Now, the action plan that this document talks about is short term, mid term and long term. तो किस तरीके से हमें AI गाइडलाइंस को, AI फ्रेमवर्क को इम्प्लीमेंट करना है कंट्री में. इट टॉक्स अबाउट इट इन 3 phases कि शॉर्ट टर्म में हमें कौन कौन सी चीज़ें करने की ज़रूरत है, मिड टर्म में और लॉन्ग टर्म में फाइनली वेयर वी नीड टू अराइव एट. In short term, it talks about establishing the AIGG and TPEC, जो हमने अभी देखा था, Artificial Intelligence Governance Group and the Technology and Policy Expert Committee. So it talks about establishing these, publishing India specific risk framework in the public domain, suggest legal amendments, create liability guidelines, public awareness programs. It talks about as the short-term adventure that we'll have to embark upon. Public awareness programs, infrastructure expansion, computers, data sets, GPUs. So it talks about this to be done in the short term. In the mid-term, what it expects is publishing of common standards, fairness, watermarking, cybersecurity, operationalizing incident reporting, amendment laws based on identified gaps, pilot regulatory sandboxes, integrate DPI with AI across sectors. So ये जो pilot regulatory sandboxes है, this is the same thing which I was just talking to you about, कि जहाँ पे you have created sandboxes where the technology is being tested and deployed before it is actually put into the public domain at large. So integrating the DPI with AIs across platforms, that is the midterm it talks about. In the long term, ये बात करता है about drafting new AI laws for emerging risks. So in the long term, in India, we might have new laws coming up for AI regulations in India. So horizon scanning and scenario planning, global AI diplomacy. In the long run, it sees the document sees it as an instrument of global diplomacy. तो ये बहुत एक बड़ी इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस के लिए भी खबर है कि the guidelines, AI guidelines in India see it in the long run as an agent of global AI diplomacy, India's venture into AI. So, practical guidelines for regulators and industry. The document further talks about practical guidelines for industry and regulators. So for industry के लिए it talks about complying with Indian laws, adoption of voluntary frameworks, publishing transparency reports, offer grievance redressal mechanisms, use techno-legal tools, privacy preserving tech, bias audits, watermarking, ensure fairness, inclusive, and transparency. This is what it talks about specifically for the industry. For regulators, it talks about promotion of innovation, not just sticking to what we have achieved, since AI gives us that leverage to actually make it big. So for industry, it talks about promotion of innovation. It talks about avoiding heavy compliance burdens, encourage sandboxes, use techno-legal solutions, focus on real and present harms, ensure flexible, agile framework. Now, this is what it expects and talks about the regulators. Now, India's AI guidelines अभी तक अब जो समझ आया इस डॉक्यूमेंट से, they make a historic step in building safe, trusted, and inclusive AI ecosystem. One that empowers the citizens, accelerates growth, and safeguards national interests. That's what we have seen up until now. UPSC aspirants के लिए this framework is a textbook example of techno-legal governance, policy innovation, and India's leadership in shaping global norms. That is why this becomes important in your preparation studies. As India moves towards becoming an AI powerhouse, this document ensures one thing: the future will be innovative but also responsible, because checks and balances maintain करना ज़रूरी है for the greater good of governance itself. So I hope this document would have helped you understand the AI governance guidelines in India. Thank you so very much. Stay tuned.